Culture is a good business. When time-honored Chinese wisdom meets the world market, which requires creativity constantly, some people create culture out of business, and some people build business out of culture. Miss An is a translator hired by the Beijing Northern Culture Company Limited. She is about to receive the performance troupe for River Dance. In 5 days, they will perform the River Dance's second form, Heartbeat of Home, in front of Chinese audiences.
I want to see the Great Wall. I'm going to go to the Wudangs.
It's Vegas, guys, it's Vegas.
The first performance of River Dance, Heartbeat of Home, will be held at the Capitol Indoor Stadium. Despite being bathed in sunlight, winters in Beijing still chill to the bone. 4 fully loaded shipping containers have already arrived at the stadium's entrance. Foreigners clad in t-shirts and Chinese workers garbed in cotton-padded jackets, each speaking their native tongues, start a day's work. In order to stay as close to the spirit of the original show as possible, every stage set piece and costume, from a washing machine to the last screw, was shipped from Ireland to China. Chinese staff and Irish staff will cooperate to transform these mundane objects into a magnificent stage.
What the fuck is going on?
Come here. Don't worry.
Go stick.
Hey.
It's surprising, like, we've been here before, and sometimes the workers won't be that good, but they're very good here now today. Brilliant. Very happy.
This 20-year-old dance and play has allowed Irish tap dancing to conquer the world. It has been performed over 12,000 times through the globe, becoming a success story of the commercial performing arts. It has been decided to premiere the latest edition of River Dance, Heartbeat of Home, in Beijing. In the Beijing nighttime, Chinese and Irish negotiators are in the final phases of a much-debated topic. Zheng Ligong, operator and one of the distributors for Heartbeat of Home in China. His counterparts are this play's director and executive producer. The key topic is the Chinese audience's behavior of taking photographs in a theater. For the foreigners, this is a matter of respect and protection of copyright.
But I think the audience do not want to take photos for, for some business from business aim. They just want to take photos and get it back, share with their friends. Mm-hmm. So why not?
Sure. Yes, and I think one of our reasons for not wanting photographs is because when people have all got their video cameras up and they're filming, all these lights are in the audience, and it's very distracting for audience members who are not filming. So it was very upsetting for us.
As a businessman, Zheng believes that it is perfectly valid to tackle this issue from a different angle.
Because, in theater, it might be when you're using the camera, it will influence others. But in arena,
yes,
it will be
it's
easy. Yeah. So, and I think for in the digital area, everybody take photos and be a center of information. They will spread the information directly and very speedily.
I take the point.
In fact, the foreigners' compromise is due to a non-negligible factor. They are fully aware of the consumption capacity and great potential of the Chinese market. This profit-based attitude is also one of the reasons why foreign entertainers have decided to have the world premiere in China. Zheng Ligong coming from Shanxi province, toured the Western world with a Chinese acrobatic troupe more than 10 years ago, boldly and obstinately, experiencing the hardship of show business and changing tack to bring the excellent foreign performances to China. However, dealing with high-end international cultural market means high licensing costs, low profit margins, and a great deal of risk.
If you want to truly, faithfully bring a foreign production over here, you have to pay lots of costs. Guarantee money, that is, paying all of their costs. Then, you need to pay all the royalties, the copyright fees. Third, they will ask about profit sharing with you. In the worst case, it's a 70-30 split. That's right, they'll take 70% of the profits. I feel like I'm being strangled because there's no way to make money. Suddenly, expenses appear out of the blue. They're always asking for money.
In terms of intellectual products, he who has the copyright has the power. Copyright doesn't just imply fortune, but also talking rights. The work of stage construction proceeds around the clock. Brendan is the foreigner's no-nonsense, straight-talking technical director. In his own words, his position is not a pleasant one.
The producers have employed me to recreate a show, so they had a vision which they've passed on to me. I now have to recreate that with all the various technical departments. So it can be very frustrating when you're not giving the tools and the crew to do that, considering months ago you've been promised. You know, we had some agreements last June when we were here that it'd be, you know, A, B, C would happen, and then still hasn't happened. And this morning I asked James what's happening. He says, oh yeah, it's on the way, but I don't know when these things are going to happen.
Chinese people, and they're saying yes, it really means no. And then we think we're getting something or going somewhere when it's really, that's not what's happening.
The James that Brendan mentioned is the Chinese technical director Song Yihang. 5 years ago, the then 25-year-old Song joined the Chinese Riverdance crew for the first time. As a newcomer, the numerous obstacles and complications came out of the blue. Aside from different work habits, during rehearsals, the difference in theater systems became a source of conflict.
For our theaters, the government's the main source of funding and pays the salaries. They sit in the background and oversee everything. We can cooperate or we can choose not to. It all depends on our move. But foreigners, they're not used to this. They'll complain. We argued all the way through our first year. Tempers ran pretty high. For them, I guess they just don't understand. I said, we're trying our best to work with you, but you guys keep swearing at us. So be it. Everybody here will stop working immediately. We'll continue after you guys have cooled off and stopped swearing at us. After that, they said, James, we're all friends.
Yeah, the applause here is not the same as it is in the Western world. It's much more reserved and it goes a lot. Don't be surprised by that. They usually give most of their applause at the very end of the show.
The power of commerce draws Party A and Party B together. The consumption of time eliminate the difference between East and West. For Zheng Legong, in the globally connected show business, the level of cooperation and mutual understanding is far from satisfactory.
Right now, the world is looking forward to a Chinese work because these past years China has been attracting more and more of the world's attention. We hope to borrow their creative mindset and combine it with our understanding of the international operating network. It's like taking a leaf out of their playbook, as they say. With Riverdance Part 3, we'll be actual producers. I will select a production team, and the most important part is me presenting our production ideas.
In order to have a say, the Chinese side must have original and creative ideas. In order to enable the international producers to pass a preliminary judgment on the Chinese talents, Zheng brought director John and dance choreographer David to see a Chinese dance team.
A good product of the arts must be a reflection of social ethos. Everyone's talking about globalization and the global community. Everyone can freely migrate throughout the world, travel fluidly, and find their own happiness in any part of the world, from river dance to heartbeat of home. Spirit is the same.
A good product does not emerge overnight. From the perspective of international performance market, this dance still has some distance before it can reach the level of quality necessary for Riverdance Part 3.
At the moment, I don't think it's for a big commercial performance, but I think it would be very well received in dance festivals around the world because it's very artistic, it's very creative.
The night has ended and the road ahead is twisting and turning.
Let's welcome him.
The night has ended, and the road ahead is full of twists and turns. After experiencing the cultural business with going out and bringing in, Zheng Ligang has attained a unique understanding of life, migration, integration, and innovation. His dream of the river carries on. Just like many fields requiring originality, Chinese animation has not achieved excellence for many years. Cartoon animator Wu Hanqing wants to create a world, an imaginary world that never stops moving. Her company, Vasson Animation, has been set up for 22 years, with the longest history among over 4,600 animation companies in China. The studio spent 5 years to produce their animated movie, Kuiba. Wu hopes to use the small monkey's appearance as a foundation to build a commercial empire, including such elements as movies, novels, comics, and video games.
The style that we work with is called manga overseas. Actually, that's the Japanese aesthetic. My position is one of an international commercial producer. We definitely produce what the demand is for. And through the advancement of technique, the South Chinese flavor will naturally be born.
From being the original equipment manufacturer of overseas brands to building a new brand, only creativity can motivate this advance. The improvement of quality is foremost a question of workers, and behind the imaginary world always stands real people. Kuiba's sequel incorporates modern popular motion capture technology.
A little bit higher. Okay. When we look at American animations, we find the reason they're so good is that every moment is full of motion. The motion of the jump. I have an upward motion. I'm in the air. Then when I land, my head continues forward for a little bit before coming back. If we want to be up to par, we need to do it like that. That way the audience will believe the characters are actually alive. The American animations are almost all like this. If your preparation buffers aren't done thoroughly, then your productions will turn out just like this.
Following behind the economic boom, China is currently welcoming in a great age of animation.
To some extent, doing business with the world is essentially competing against the world. It's all a big competition.
What we're doing is taking some of their effective models, then transforming them with a local twist.
As the world's largest creator and exporter of animation, Japan was called the Kingdom of Animation. Tokyo Tower, an Eiffel Tower-inspired lattice tower, frequently appears in anime and manga and is regarded as the landmark of Tokyo. Walking in the streets, anime products, cartoon images, and anime shops exist everywhere. Japan is the third largest economy in the world, and the anime and manga industry is the third largest of Japanese industry's pillars. The 18-meter-tall Odaiba Gundam stands as tribute to the ancestor of the mecha genre. The pavilions and expo halls do not merely contain laughter.
Controlling this,
Everyone's over there playing games.
Oh my god!
Over 90% of the over 700 Japanese entities involved in its animation industry are located in Tokyo, forming into a continuous industry chain. In the chilly morning, the group from Vasoon begin their tour of the world of Japanimation.
These two productions are famous throughout the animation world. Ghost in the Shell and Letter to Momo.
Production IG is one of Japan's largest animation companies, quiet and cramped. Aside from creation of its own animations for the market, it creates opening titles for Hollywood.
This person's very famous in the industry, one of the pillars of the original art. These guys are seriously the best in the business. They spend their lives to cultivate their techniques, and their level of mastery of this craft is really hard to reach.
Atsushi Ogasawara is a professor of nuclear physics, but looks like a young man you'd find working in a Tokyo hair salon. He is an original master of independent animation.
物が浮くという研究を物理で研究してたんですよ、昔は。で、それをもし物が浮くということがこの世界で実現したら、どのように世界がなるかというそういうシリーズで絵を描いてます。
Notice the advertisements in this part. These represent different companies. Real entities can pay to have their brands advertised here. For instance, individuals can also pay for ad space here, but it can be separate. Normally, though, only one company pays for the whole placement. This is self-made.
He made this himself?
Of course, with his own hands.
Oh.
This is his worldview, after all. Because he made the concept in his drawings, and afterwards he made it for real. It should be real. It's one of his tenets. Do you know what that is?
Yes, it's a vacuum tube.
He made it himself.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Because he has a PhD in physics.
Right, yeah. Animation, including anime here, is all about creating an original world. We need to create a world in our imagination. And to do that, you need to convince yourself that it's real. Just like how he treated the clothing and set pieces inside his drawing, he made them himself. It's like you're playing God.
The next day, Wu's team visited Masao Maruyama, the so-called first man of Japanese animation. Mr. Maruyama once worked together with the creator of Astro Boy, Osamu Tezuka, and is acknowledged as the gold standard of the anime industry.
要するにさっきのやつが何年かかかってるんだけど、こちら作画期間が1年かかってないです。時間とお金がない。その技術的なこととか作り込みはもう先生の方がずっと上だから、僕ら空に対抗するには早く安く作るしかないかなと。
After I met you 5 years ago, I deepened my determination to get into the industry. Because I've been doing okay for now, my plans are to step up the pace for my next 5 years.
僕らが50年間このアニメーションやってるから、そこまで今があるんですね。それから人が育っていくこと、彼らがどんどんトップになってアニメーションを志す人間が一緒にこうやっていくことは大事なことかもしれません。
Quality voice acting can give animated characters souls. In Japan, voice actors are popular like celebrities.
We want you to do this. By doing this, we need you to feel the grasp of the...
The one responsible for dubbing the protagonist in Japanese in Kueba is the first Japanese professional voice actor of Chinese nationality, KK.
最終的にはスムーズに。
たく、あの二人は疫病神なんだよ。待ってたが、もう我慢の限界だ。村中に迷惑かけて。
誰かが追っ払ってくれるってんなら、私は宣言出すね。はい。
痛い？
黙ってろ。
そんなに怒らないでよ。もっと修行すれば、明日は村長に勝てる。
The voiceover environment is truly lacking when compared to back home. First of all, they don't record each person separately. They take, say, more than 20 people together into a cramped booth, then record a 15-minute long scene in one take. You can't make a single mistake in that kind of environment. And there's only one chance to perform, so you have to put all of your emotions into your lines. It's quite an intense feeling. That's why you need to act your heart out on one hand while being aware of your surroundings, making sure not to make a sound when changing pages or crowding someone around their microphone. It's all very professional. It's like the work a craftsman put into his trade.
Precision, patience, concentration, striving for perfection even in small details. This is the craftsmanship spirit. It enables Japan to extend its industries to the globe, agglomerate the creativity of an entire people, and boost the confidence and pride of Japanese.
Heading into the world is doing business with the world. We want to create our best product and sell it to the whole world. We have to truly be proud of our brainchild to do that.
China is a huge source of cultural products, but nobody knows about it. There's not precedent, so now it becomes asking yourself, what do you want to do? What are you doing? And how are you going to do it? And then doing that and staying the course until it gets done.
Animation characters created by Chinese, along with characters in Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto, stay in the hand-painted wall in the hall.
Kueba has come to visit the big boys.
In Japan, we've yet to make it past the little leagues. We don't even have a name, but if you work hard, there will always be people watching. This is my dream. I like doing this. I like animation.
Culture is the basis for tradition, the genes that pass on each nationality's characteristics. Commerce has given us the means for dialogue and exchange. Kung Fu is China's calling card throughout the globe. In Washington, D.C., there are 3 competing Kung Fu schools, and in each school, coaches with their own distinct methods to teach the ways of martial arts. Of course, their differences do not only lie in methodology.
7, 38.
9, 10.
No noise. He's shooting for TV. He just started. He does not even have his uniform yet, but I want you guys to listen. He just started. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Now listen. Go.
I will strive to the best of my ability to keep myself physically, mentally, and spiritually strong at all times. I'll be humble, yet not weak, proud, yet not boastful. I will respect my scene.
Shoot. Shaolin.
Wushu.
Shaolin.
Wushu.
Ching Li. How about that? Pretty good, huh? Huh? How old are you?
4.
He's 4 years old.
Dennis Brown was born in Washington, D.C. He once traveled to China to study martial arts. This entrepreneur's business idea is to turn Kung Fu into a marketplace. His Shaolin Kung Fu Training Center is the longest operating and largest chain of its kind in the D.C. region. Americans are keen on exercise, and martial arts schools are often found next to large gyms.
This school and one other school are the 2 schools that we have now. One of the differences that we made is that we actually put down what we call these puzzle mats. We also put mirrors up in every school. I don't know whether that's Chinese or whether Americans just like to look at themselves. I don't know, but it's always worked out good for the business.
What's wrong?
Someone bullied me.
Huh? Who did that?
Another kid. He called me mean names, the jerk.
Oh, he only used words, and he got you all worked up?
Stepped on me too.
Show me where.
Right here.
But you're a tough guy. You don't need to cry about it.
But he really hurt my feelings.
Well, we all have times when we feel bad, am I right? Not everything in your life will go the way you want it to, you know? You get it? Kids are like this. But there are times when you have to give them a talk, have a conversation before they can figure it out.
I washed my face off. In the bathroom.
Do you feel better now? What makes us happy doesn't involve how many students we currently have, but whether or not we manage to see a change in our students, whether there's growth.
The Chinese-American Pei Kung Kai trained under the same school as Dennis Brown. He once came to Beijing to study at the Wushu team that trained Jet Li. While there, he married fellow team member Zheng Guifeng. Coach Pei's Wushu school is the school that is most frequented by Chinese Americans in the DC area.
I first started learning when I was attending Chinese school. I didn't have focus when I was younger, so they said try martial arts, try Chinese martial arts. So...
Are there any more slots if we want to sign up? It's 6, right?
I don't need to advertise my school. My approach is the opposite. When people enter, I find ways to try and get them to leave. If they don't leave, they must want to study under me. You need to find something you really love. Something you want to do well. And then you need to seriously practice it. If you're not the type of person who can do that, then you need to go.
In the United States, Taekwondo dojos are everywhere. Matured dojo layout and full market recognition have allowed this Olympic-level sport to collect thousands of practitioners. The sport's primary promoter is Jungu Ri, who has been called the father of American Taekwondo. He is one of Bruce Lee's 10 famous teachers.
Have to cater the classes for the American market. And I think most Asian schools, if you go to Asia, it's very strict discipline with master, instructor, and student. You're there to learn.
加油 Carrie. Everyone say, Carrie, 加油. 加油.
Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good job, Carrie. Good job. Good job.
Every kid here will call me Coach Pei, but none of them will call me Dad. But everyone here is afraid of Coach Zhang, and every one of them will call her Mom.
Go. Go. Angel, do you want me to kick you out?
You know, the kids have the power here. If it's too strict, the kids will quit. You have to make sure the kids are have fun. We still have a very sound instruction that we teach, but they have to have fun while they're learning. So that's our concept.
There you go. Elbow down.
Korean Taekwondo and Japanese karate control the majority of the United States martial arts market. To compete on this field, one has to adopt and absorb some of their features.
There are a lot of business decisions that I had to make in order to make my school successful. We didn't have belts like karate had, and Americans were used to belts. Well, now, 30 years later, everybody wears some type of belt. Some people wear some things that they run the schools with testing and all that, just like American-style schools. They're used to getting something.
The same belt in the hands of Chinese is teaching with truth and cultivating naturally.
2 hands, not 1 hand. 2 hands, take it with 2 hands. And now, right hand, eyes look at me. When I say congratulations, you say, thank you.
So we want the tape on the center too.
Today, Coach Pei's Wushu Academy is holding its monthly graduation exams.
Stephen. Ian.
The ceremonial mood lets students savor this major event in their lives all the more. Here, ceremony and discipline merge into one.
Help each other, encourage each other. There's a team spirit. As long as they see a fellow student in the testing area, if they see them stumble or fail, they'll cheer them on without fail.
For them, martial arts is like a club. They can make friends here who share their hobbies. Friends are more important to them than wushu, especially when they're at a young age.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Coach.
Congratulations, Eddie. Congratulations.
He was 7. Little baby, and now 18 going to college. So I just told your parents I'm very happy. We have gone through a lot of hard time together, a lot of growth. But you've always been a good girl.
Thank you,
no
Coach.
problems at all, no teenager problems.
I'll live here, second home. Thank you, Coach.
Remember me, I coached him.
Thank you. Love you too.
I hope that this U.S. Wushu Academy can continue like West Point to exist centuries from now.
But the business side, if you want to be a businessman, you have to know how to be a businessman.
I wanted to provide a way to showcase the talent. I tried to give a big event. They come together to compete. It's like the Olympics. Everybody learns more about everybody, and it helps to bring the world together because schools are international. If you look around the school, everybody's international.
Culture is the thread that ties the past to the present. As one of the sources of European civilization, every building in Rome, even if it's a ruin, harbors the spirit of its progression. On these streets teeming with artifacts, constructing a new building is difficult beyond description.
It's a sensitive subject to design homes in Rome because you need to manage its relationship with old structures. What we did was we tore down the facade but left the pillars and flooring. And then we inserted the new apartment units into the scaffold. Now the outsides are all balconies and gardens.
This 3D garden-like design philosophy emerged from 2012's Global Design Selection. The Roman project was the first contract for the Chinese construction firm in Europe.
It's like you can't make out the shape of the building. Well, it's hard to describe its shape. It's really like having a living organism. Old Beijing, Jingshan, Beihai, Shichahai. When you get down to it, people live within nature, but this natural environment is artificial.
Ma Yan-song has a unique mode of thinking, and the design cases favored by Westerners are definitely more than that. From the bubble bathrooms in Beijing's Hutongs to steel and concrete landscape cities, from the island-like design concept of the World Trade Center to the softness of Canada's Monroe Building, seemingly fantastical concepts have all been transformed into urban landscapes one by one.
I feel like all we did was a bit of a quick wit. That is, we gently inserted it into their culture rather than violently.
Ma Yan-song, a Yale alumnus, is currently the most important representative of China's new generation of architects. Right now, the internationally acclaimed MAD Architects Office, located in one of Beijing's old hutongs, has attracted young designers from all over the world.
It's a Chinese office, but they do try to make it a very sort of multinational environment. I guess you could say I'm not completely immersed, in a completely sort of Chinese bubble, because we do speak English as well as Chinese at the firm, and it's being in China, but you also get to meet so many people from so many different places, and I think that's wonderful. So I found something attractive about what they did and the work that they did, and so for me to be able to come here and then grow myself and grow my ideas as well, I think is very powerful.
Concurrently, for the Beijing International Design Week, Ma Yan-song and his team are currently designing an art display named Numerous Crystals for the international crystals company Swarovski.
You should have seen his first draft. Oh, it scared me. There was no way to implement it.
Ma Yan-song has finalized on mountains and a bright moon being this project's main theme. Workers are currently constructing the mountains of his design. Ma Yan-song's sponsors hope that, as a local designer tackling the Numerous Crystals theme, he will come up with an Eastern-influenced concept.
Previously, I'd always look at every artist's work while at an art gallery, until I got lost at the end and couldn't find my direction. I don't know when, but one day I saw a group of mountains. I guess I needed to have a dialogue between what I saw in my mind and Chinese culture.
Ma Yan-song, leader on this multinational project team, draws inspiration from the Chinese environment.
I really enjoy the hutong, and I think when I see them, I don't speak much Chinese, but just being able to see their face and smiling with them, creates a connection.
Beijing as a whole is still a place with crevices, and where there's crevices, there's freedom. I grew up in those cracks. The hutongs give you space for yourself. Tiananmen Square is a crazy wide place. Even in the controlled atmospheres, you have a personal space. Go up on the roof, climb a tree. Why do we build cities? What kind of life do we want to have in a city?
As long as there are gaps, creativity can be nurtured and grow. Ma Yan-song believes that a living city should be open and multicultural. Only free soil can cultivate more Chinese innovations. Football may be the world's most watched and most influential sport culture. The 2014 FIFA World Cup reignited Chinese football fans' passions, as throughout history, the Chinese interest in the sport has never ceased. The cluster of European-style buildings in Guangdong's mountainous region nurtures the future of Chinese football.
I have to win.
Xiao Yunhao is part of the youngest group of students at the school. A match of a World Cup bereft of spectators is fiercely unfolding. The children wear uniforms from many countries and are divided into 32 teams. This is a part of their final exams.
Line up. Go get ready to start playing. Best players go on a team.
This little World Cup stage is located at a foraged football school. As planned, this is a training ground for the football stars of the future. As the world's largest football school, its student population has exceeded 2,600. As a unique way to advertise the school's objective, on top of the statue of the World Cup trophy at the front gates, the visages of 3 foreign football players have all been replaced with Chinese ones.
We are Evergrande students. We advance with the times.
In September of 2012, 22 of the coaches of the Real Madrid Football Club signed an 8-year contract with Evergrande. The school follows a rigorous training regimen identical to that of the training camps of the world's most famous football clubs. People hope that this can prove to become the new hope for changing the plight of the state of Chinese football. Head coach Fernando is a graduate of Real Madrid's training camps.
No, es la primera escuela que yo creo que Madrid tiene. Normalmente firma unos convenios, pero siempre son a nivel social. O sea, dan materiales, camisetas. Que hayan 22 entrenadores representando al Real Madrid en un país extranjero, entrenando como entrenan en el Madrid a unos niños en su país, en su propio país, como es en China ahora mismo. Eso yo creo que es la primera escuela de este tipo.
Take your time. Go slowly, okay? Go slow, go slow, go slow, go slow.
Every year, the school sends students to Real Madrid's youth camps to study and live there. So aside from learning how to play, they learn how to eat Western food, a skill that's certain to be of use eventually. Here, every foreign coach is paired with a Chinese counterpart. All topics pertaining to football training are decided by these 22 Real Madrid coaches. Spanish football's pursuit of independence of agency and team-based tactics are drilled into the children during everyday training.
Los niños pequeños en España, desde que son muy pequeños, están acostumbrados a ver fútbol en televisión, a ir a ver a sus hermanos jugar al fútbol, a ir a ver al estadio a su equipo favorito y a estar en familia viendo fútbol. Cosa que aquí en China es una de las cosas que más nos ha llamado la atención porque realmente no hay esa pasión y sobre todo, como comentamos antes, en edades tan tempranas, de ese amor al fútbol, ¿no? Eso es una diferencia más que significativa a día de hoy entre el país de España y el país chino.
Van a perder porque no han corrido y eso es lo que no puede ser.
The match's outcome is shared by the team. You win as a team, you lose as a team.
I learned a sort of mindset from football. It's a thirst for victory and a team spirit. Mutual encouragement, no grudges, no blaming. Trust your teammates.
On this day, the World Cup in Brazil began explosively. Last time's champions, the Spanish team, lost to the Dutch team in a 5-1 horrendous rout.
How do you say angry? You know angry.
No.
You're from Argentina.
Yeah. And him? Where's he from? No problem, no problem. Hey, Howard. China? Oh, you're from China? Huh?
Football isn't a sport that purely relies on physique and technique. Someone once said, China's football requires culture.
Lesson starts.
For the majority of each day, the kids must learn Chinese, math, English, and 4 other subjects until 4 p.m. each afternoon when they practice football for 90 minutes. Many parents have raised complaints about the school's football training's intensity, and the response has always been even the players in Europe's Premier Leagues only ever train 2 hours per day.
I feel like the most important tool in football is your mind. You need to use your mind to choose the best direction to pass the ball, or to decide when to make a move on the goal.
On the sidelines, many students' parents come to provide encouragement from all over the country. Lu Yixin's mother is among them. Behind these 2,600 children lies 2,600 families and their dreams.
My mother also hopes for me to play professionally in Spain, so I really need to give it my all and be the best.
Mucho de ese estrés viene por la familia. Aquí en China hemos notado que hay mucho estrés, hay mucha presión sobre los niños en como son hijos únicos. Muchos quieren que sus padres quieren que sus hijos sean futbolistas, y hemos visto padres que son muy exigentes con sus niños. Eso hace que el niño tenga tal nivel de estrés que si se pierde un partido crea que ha fallado a su padre. Yo creo que eso es un error, y es un error que también en España también ocurre, por desgracia. Yo creo que un padre lo que tiene que fomentar es, lo que puedo repetir, creatividad. Es una palabra que a mí me gusta. Yo creo que un padre tiene que intentar que su hijo crezca. No puedes estar dirigiéndole toda tu vida. El niño tiene que crecer solo, conocerse, y tiene que equivocarse también algunas veces.
Mom? I'm not training now. I made 2 goals.
Watching their children grow up always fills parents with anxiety. Football is the biggest single attraction of professional sports. The average gross annual product worldwide totals over $500 billion. The Chinese share of this market is calculated at over 800 billion renminbi. This tempting market requires investment, education, culture, and the modernization of standards over the entire society all at the same time.
El método de entrenamiento, con la cantidad de niños que hay, con las ganas que tienen los niños de aprender, si se empezara a meter el fútbol en las escuelas, China sería una potencia mundial seguro en no muchos años.
Everything must endure the test of time. Not every child can become a superstar athlete, but if football can be a joy that accompanies them for a lifetime, then maybe the anticipated age of Chinese soccer can finally arrive. In many corners of the world, China and the world are creating the world through their collisions and interactions.
In truth, when we fought, you could say we learned a lot from each other. And when we saw each other 2 years later, we were really close. When you're actually getting close to this market, they'll be very wary of you.
Every nationality has its own outstanding culture. The tides of commerce bring them into the wide open world. In these invisible competitions, we learn how to trade and accumulate, learning about the value of innovation.
Work for making money, right?
The highest objective of business was often profit.
My old friend.
However, the living logic of modern society reminds us, if we cannot give more people a better life, we will be hard-pressed to head further into the future. Please follow the 7th episode of Doing Business with the World, Future Profits.